Violent protests have erupted in New York City. Our reporter, Alad Eliyahu, was physically assaulted for filming, and they destroyed his phone. This is over a man named Jordan Neely, who is violent, hostile, and erratic, and a man on a train subdued him, unfortunately resulting in his death. Now, we don't celebrate death. I don't like death. I don't like the death penalty. But this is a story of a man that had dozens of arrests for violent attacks on people, who was hostile and threatening attacks on people, being subdued and dying. Again, sad story. In response, we are seeing the left show their true colors. And I will say definitively and outright, and honestly, it's kind of tough to say, but I'm going to say it. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is evil. Just absolutely evil. She is despicable, malicious evil. Defending the violent offender and condemning the man who intervened to save people from him. This guy, Jordan Neely, I'm sad this happened, but nobody maliciously tried to murder him. He was subdued and unfortunately died in the process. This man had previously punched a 67-year-old woman in the face. And so a Marine on the train finally decided to do something about this hostile man and put him in a chokehold, as other passengers tried to restrain him, simply because he was violent and erratic. And Ocasio-Cortez said that this was a public murder and is encouraging violence in the streets, which resulted in our reporter being physically attacked, because I will say it again. This is malicious evil. Ocasio-Cortez is a despicable, malicious, evil person. I'm going to show you what she said. I'm so done with this, man. You better get out of the cities, because if someone comes up to you threatening you and you try to defend yourself or others, AOC and her ilk would have you thrown in prison. Horrifying story. Here's the headline from the psychotic and deranged New York Times. Subway rider choked homeless man to death, medical examiner rules. Jordan Neely died after a man held him in a chokehold. On Wednesday, the medical examiner's office said the cause of death was compression of the neck and ruled it a homicide. Homicide does not mean murder with intent. It means a person died due to the actions of another person. There's photos and videos of what happened and witness testimony. And for this reason, the former Marine that subdued this man was not criminally charged. We know what happened, and we know that what the New York Times is doing is irresponsible. That's the headline they give you. And that's what these people see. And it makes them go insane. Now, they're going to mention this. The man who died, Jordan Neely, was homeless and had been screaming at passengers when the other rider wrapped his arms around Mr. Neely's neck and head and held him for several minutes until he went limp. Mr. Neely died from the compression of his neck as a result of the chokehold, according to Julie Bolser, a medical examiner. The killing on an F train in Manhattan has led to investigations by both the police and prosecutors, a spokesman for Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg said. As of Wednesday afternoon, nobody has been arrested. As part of our rigorous ongoing investigation, we will review the medical examiner's report, assess all available video and photo footage. Okay. The investigation is ongoing. On Monday, a man who was riding in the same subway car went up to Mr. Neely, a 30-year-old Michael Jackson impersonator who was yelling that he was hungry and ready to die. The 24-year-old man who choked Mr. Neely has not been identified. Watch the video. I can't play it on YouTube because it shows a man dying. Look, many people probably do. I'm saying by my standards, I don't show that. I know, whatever. You may not be happy about it, but I'm not sure YouTube allows that stuff. Probably do. A man who is screaming and being violent and belligerent, hostile, saying he was ready to die, is subdued. He unfortunately dies in the process, and they condemn the man who is trying to simply subdue him. It's not the story about a guy who went up and killed somebody. It's a story of a guy who was restraining someone, and that person died in the process. Let me show you where we're at with this. The New York Working Families Party, malicious evil. They say Jordan Neely loved to dance and perform. On Tuesday, while suffering a mental health crisis, he was choked to death while people watched and cheered. Nobody cheered. That's a lie. Thank you, Twitter's community notes that say a video showing the altercation has no apparent cheering and shows multiple bystanders trying to restrain Neely after witnesses claim he was erratic and verbally aggressive. There are 3 people holding him down. 3 people, because he's violently swinging his arms. Now, perhaps you might say you didn't need to put him in a chokehold to stop him, but I'm not going to sit here and condemn the victims, not the aggressors. Neely was the aggressor. Again, I don't even believe in the death penalty. It is sad this man lost his life. This photo, the video, it's horrifying. It's sad. But I will not condemn people who seek to defend themselves and others from a violent aggressor. Could you imagine a woman walking down the street at night and a guy grabs her and pins her down and is about to rape her, and then she attacks him and he dies in the process, so they try to put her in prison? These people are outright just absolutely evil. NYC subway rider who placed unhinged man in deadly chokehold released. Let me show you where we're at. From Timcast News. Protesters for Jordan Neely, a homeless man choked to death while acting erratically on the subway, blocked traffic in New York City. They're now bracing for riots. It's not a cop. What are they protesting for? It's not a cop that was involved in this. It was just a guy. 3 guys. Are they going to criminally charge all 3 men that were restraining Jordan Neely? Yes, I bet they will. You've been warned to get out of cities. I've said it over and over again. And people say it's not easy. It's too hard. I can't do it. Fine. I don't care. I've made my statement. I've given you my piece. And if it's not enough, do your thing. It's on you. But I'll tell you. When you're walking down the street with your girlfriend or your child, and a psychopath comes to harm you, and you defend yourself or your family, and you go to prison, yeah, I'll explain how wrong it was. I'll say it's unfortunate. But at a certain point, there's nothing I can do for you. You know what they're doing. I said this would happen. How many times did I say, you will seek to defend yourself, you will try to protect your home, and they will arrest you? Now, hold on. They have not yet arrested this man, but how much do you want to bet they will track him down? They know who he is, and they're going to criminally charge him. And they'll say something like, well, we do understand the right of self-defense. The chokehold he used was excessive and not a legal form of self-defense or something to that effect. I.e., you are not allowed to defend yourself. Here we go. Ocasio-Cortez. Malicious evil. She is an algorithmic monster. She posts these things to generate attention. She is evil. Now, I know she's working with Matt Gaetz on something, on a bill to stop stock trading. And we've had Matt Gaetz offer up, him reaching out and seeing if she or Ilhan would come on the show. And I'm just like, at this point, I don't think that's possible. If AOC were to come on this show, it would be a loud argument, to put it mildly. Here's what she tweeted. Jordan Neely was murdered. No, murder is intent. So she's saying this guy arbitrarily walked up to this guy Neely and just decided to kill him. No, in reality, any sane person will recognize that Neely was erratic and threatening and had previous convictions. Do I have I might have the story up here. No, I don't. I thought I had it up. But because Jordan was houseless and crying for food in a time when the city is raising rents and stripping services to militarize itself, while many in power demonize the poor, the murderer gets protected with passive headlines and no charges. It's disgusting. It's just absolutely evil. Look at this. Here's what AOC responded to Eric Adams, the mayor. He says, any loss of life is tragic. There's a lot we don't know about what happened here, so I'm going to refrain from commenting further. However, we do know that there were serious mental health issues in play here, which is why our administration has made record investments in providing care, et cetera, et cetera. AOC says, this honestly feels like a new low. Not being able to clearly condemn a public murder because the victim was of social status some would deem too low to care about. The last sentence is especially rich from an admin trying to cut the very services that could have helped him. This is what we have now. AOC, Democrats are releasing violent offenders, criminals, etc. And if you try to defend yourself from them, she will blame you for it. I want to make sure I can, I want to pull up the story. I thought I had it pulled up, but I must have lost it. Take a look at this from the Daily Mail. New York City Mayor Eric Adams slams irresponsible AOC for calling Marine who put violent subway passenger in a fatal chokehold, a murderer. Neely had been arrested 42 times in 10 years, including hitting a 67-year-old woman in the face. Okay, you know what, AOC? The next time this guy or anyone else punches an elderly woman in the face, I'll come to you and ask you. And you know what AOC will say? Oh, it's so unfortunate. She will not address it because she is not coming out and protesting for the innocent people being brutalized. But you know what? I don't live in New York City. So be it. If this Marine gets criminally charged, what do you think I'm going to do? Do you think I'm going to have a fundraiser for him? It depends. Maybe. I don't know the guy. Don't know who he is. But I got to tell you, I am very reluctant to offer up personally any support for any of the individuals in New York City. Come on. At a certain point, At a certain point, I am done saying it. And every single person who comes to me and says, it's too hard, Tim, to leave cities. Fine, I don't care. Stand in a burning building. You have the right to do so. I am not your boss. I don't own you. I am wrong about a lot of things. Do you? And then when the leftist mob comes and locks you in the gulag, I'll be like, that's what you wanted. You think I'm going to extend to you what I wouldn't extend to these Democrats? These people, these Democrats who live in the city and keep voting for it. I have no sympathy for them. If they live in the city and they choose to live this way and they get attacked, well, there you go. We went up to New York. What was this? 7 months ago, maybe. And we were doing an event. The morning we arrived, only about an hour or two before, a man slashed someone in Times Square for no reason. Let me see if I can pull that story up. No reason. There we go. August 1st, 2022. Let me see. We got the Times Square slashing. This keeps happening. Shocking, come from behind Times Square slashing leaves woman hospitalized. We were there. And I didn't know it happened until afterward. And I was like, wow. And then people told me it's a big problem. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not going to go to New York. Maybe I'll stay out of there. And, I do understand, though, if forever I do go to New York for whatever reason, I recognize what I'm walking into. If you live in this city and you vote for this, I'm sorry, dude. Your house is on fire. I have come to you and said, you need to flee now. Many people said, okay. Many people said, where will I go? Like, I don't know. Anywhere is better than being trapped in a burning building, right? But you see, too many people are convinced they'll be fine. They're sitting in their living room while the garage is engulfed in flames, the attached garage. And they say, I think the fire will get put out before it reaches me. Or the fire is going to go around. The fire ain't going around. This is what I've mentioned before. And we're getting close to it. One day, they will show up to your home. They will be screaming. And the police will show up and they'll say, do we try to arrest 100 violent rioters or one single person in their home? And you think the Constitution will protect you? You would be wrong. They will go into your house and they will arrest you. And it's already happened. It happened in Milwaukee. They said the man was brandishing a firearm because violent rioters and arsonists had to show up to his house to riot, to protest. The cops went into his house and arrested him for brandishing a firearm. You have no right to defend yourself. Elizabeth Sherman tweets, the man who killed Jordan Neely wasn't protecting himself. He was empowered by a cultural movement that has normalized regular citizens deputizing themselves as judges and executioners in the name of white supremacy. Infamously, this also happened in another period of U.S. history. These people are evil. Okay, that's it. No, you're not going to argue. You're not arguing with me. Here's another one from Big Theory Goth GF. If you see someone murdering a homeless person with their bare hands on the subway, you should try to stop them. Internalize this now so you can react faster in the moment. That's what they do. Reverse victim and offender. If you try to defend yourself, you're the murderer. Here's our reporter, Elad Eliyahu, who was simply filming and he was physically attacked because these people are evil. Look, there's no arguments. There's no excuses. I'm not playing these games. We see what they're doing. I'm not saying every Democrat is evil. I am not saying that every New Yorker is evil. I am saying there is a contingent of violent extremists on the far left, empowered by people like AOC. And in the inverse, she's empowered by them. They will physically attack you as an innocent person trying to film. And then they will claim the offenders are the victims. They will seek to weaponize the powers of government against you. They will go to the homes of pro-lifers who protest, but they will allow leftists to break the law. They will raid your home in Alaska because you look too much like someone who was in the Capitol on January 6th. They will physically attack innocent people like this right here, and they'll smile when they do it. They'll smile and they say, what are you going to do about it? Because they're evil people. And that's AOC is evil. This right here is what AOC represents. Our journalist, Alad Eliyahu, standing, minding his own business, filming a public street, physically attacked. And they support it. So, Ocasio-Cortez, will you come out and will you defend our reporter who was physically attacked? No, because she's malicious evil. And people think it's too harsh to say. The law of self-defense. He says, I expect you're correct on the drug. Oh, let me show you the context. Dennis OG says, I really doubt that Marine in the subway was dumb enough to keep the loon in a chokehold for more than it took to subdue him. As in past cases, I'll bet a drug reaction was involved. If the tox turns up clean, the Marine is in big trouble. Law of self-defense says, I expect you're correct on the drug issue. What likely is going to happen is it's going to turn out the dude had him in the chokehold only as long as it took until he stopped fighting. But the man was probably on drugs, which resulted in his death. I don't know for sure. He says, on the other hand, the Marine is in big trouble regardless of the actual facts, medical reality, or legal merit. That George Floyd had 3 times the lethal levels of fentanyl on board didn't save Chauvin, or the other 3 officers persecuted with him. Notice, he didn't say prosecuted, he said persecuted. In the Chauvin trial, the defense's own witness said Chauvin was entitled under the law to use more force. Yeah. When Chauvin arrived and Floyd was resisting, what do they call it? The continuum of force entitled Chauvin to use a taser, which he opted not to use, using a standard ground restraint. George Floyd died. Unfortunate, sad it happened. George Floyd had 3 times the lethal amount of fentanyl in his system. Didn't matter. Didn't matter for the other cops either. Let's talk about Ahmaud Arbery, a felony burglary suspect, according to numerous reports. And the McMichaels should not have pursued him. The police told them not to. But they were tired of their neighborhood being burglarized, and this guy clearly didn't live there. Now, you can make your argument all day and night about the McMichaels, who got in their truck armed, chased him down, they flanked him, parked their truck at a stop sign, and Ahmaud Arbery ran around the truck, fought with Travis McMichael over the firearm, and was shot, I think, a few times by the shotgun. Argue all that. Fine. We'll argue the merits on that one. But what about the guy who drove and behind just filming? That's right. This guy didn't coordinate with the McMichaels. He simply saw Ahmaud Arbery running and started filming him. Why? Because they believed he was a felony burglary suspect. Seems like a reasonable thing to do, to just film somebody, right? He's going to prison for the rest of his life. This is the world you live in. And that was in Georgia. They will come for you. And if you defend yourself, this is what you can expect to happen. Because they're evil people. They would seek to have this country destroyed. From the ashes of the old, they shall build anew. And this is the inversion of morality and the destruction of our community. And they gleefully support and gloat. It's a death cult. That's it. I'm not sure they're conscious or cognizant. I'm not sure they're capable of understanding, but they're evil nonetheless. Would you call zombies evil? I've asked this question of Ian, who is a Dungeons and Dragons enthusiast, because there is the, I forgot what it's called. There's neutral evil, there's chaotic evil, there's lawful evil, there's good, neutral, and evil. There's lawful evil, there's chaotic evil, there's lawful good, there's chaotic good. There's true neutral, there's lawful neutral. Are zombies evil? I think they're neutral evil. I don't think that, I don't see it as chaotic evil. Chaotic evil is more demons choosing to destroy intentionally. I think AOC is neutral evil in that she's a mindless zombie that is gutting and ripping apart the system and causing pain and suffering to others. I think she's empowered by it. She enjoys the power and she wants to capitalize off it. I see this as a zombie horde rampaging through the streets. If there was any logic or morality to this, AOC would come out and say, do not attack journalists. How dare you? But she won't. None of them will. They support the physical violence against people like Elad because they're evil. They will attack you and celebrate. And then when you try to defend yourself from the people, the violent offenders they've released, they will try to destroy you. So to that Marine, you know, I don't know exactly what happened on that subway, but the story as we understand it right now, based on witness testimony, the video we've seen is that he was trying to stop this person and defend others. I can respect that. It's unfortunate anyone lost their life. I don't know if this man is cognizant of what's going on in our society, but at a certain point, I wash my hands of being involved in this stuff. Like, I don't want this Marine to go to prison. I hope he leaves that city as fast as he can. But at a certain point, if you live in New York and this happens to you, nah, I'm not getting involved. Dude, you're not, I'm sorry. I'm not going to rush into a burning building for someone who refused to walk out when they had the chance. I'm like, dude, I give you the choice. I know it's hard. Do you want to stay in that city or not? You do? Okay. When the time comes, you made your decision. You're entitled to make your decision. I wish you the best of luck. But there ain't no way I'm running back in that burning building to save you. Because I told you the fire was here. So for everybody who lives in these cities, watching everything that's been happening, look, maybe it's a lottery ticket's chance that it'll be you. Okay. You make your choice. I respect your autonomy. But don't expect me to come out and be like, oh, this poor man. I'll be like, well, you know, I respect your right to make your own choices. I respect you in saying you want to stay in the burning building. Totally fine. I'm not you. I'm not your boss. I don't know everything. I just see this stuff, and that's where my opinion is, how my opinion is formed. So me, I left. And glad I did. And that's just me. You do you, because I believe in that. I believe you do you, and maybe you'll be fine. You'll probably be fine, sure. One of you is going to win that lottery ticket. And they're going to come to your home and they're going to threaten your family and your children. And then when you say, save us, I'm going to look down and say, no. That's the current state of things. I don't know what else to say. I just can't. I just can't. It's been years. It's been years of this. And of me saying, please pay attention. You do you, man. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.